Hey guys, this is Jamie. So today I'm going to be talking about politics and specifically an article that caught my eye, or rather, I was talking to my partner, we were discussing it, and then I kind of started thinking about history and etc. And it is a topic close to my heart, and I was very interested in Eastern European history when I was in high school, being in Eastern Europe, really. And obviously, with my family having had been in World War II and having family killed in the Holocaust and family killed in the war, and yeah, it's a hard subject specifically because World War II was always something a big part of my family would always remember, and I feel like the current climate makes it very difficult as well. Like, I do not support Putin's idea in any way or form of equating the current war to World War II, and I find it an absolute disgusting taste. There is nothing similar, and while I do understand that nationalism in Ukraine rose and it was alarming, it is what was done was absolutely no reason to do. There was no reason to attack the country, and pretty much to keep the blood running to this day and to keep it running for fuck knows how long. So I am completely against war in general. I'm against any wars, and I find it very stupid, to be put mildly, and I don't think anyone should be under a sky filled with war. Uh, so yeah, so that's what I mostly, if I talk about war, I mostly focus on the Ukraine, Russia, because I feel like it's, when it comes to Israel and Palestine, there are voices that need to be heard, which are not mine. So yeah, but anyway, I wanted to say that I find it very alarming that history is rewritten, is being rewritten, and I do have to say that it's being rewritten from both sides, which is really bizarre, because we've had history in Ukraine being rewritten for a very long while, up to the point that I was talking to my father-in-law, and he was asking me about the famine in Ukraine, and I said, well, it's a very political question, and because there was famine everywhere in the USSR, it was a non-harvest year, so there wasn't something specific targeted by Stalin towards the Ukrainian population. So yeah, so it was everywhere, so there was no specific reason to target a certain population. And it's overblown. And in general, if we look at what Ukrainians have been doing to history and now Russians are doing to history, everyone tries to sort of one-up each other. And obviously, the article that I'm going to be talking about is the fact that right now in Ukrainian museums, in general over the country, it has been happening, like removing USSR statues, removing statues from the war, removing fucking Pushkin statues for all I care. It's been very alarming, and I've even accepted it as something that is happening, it's horrible, I don't get it. It is a history, and it's a part of history, and also when it comes to World War II, Ukraine was a massive backbone. So many Ukrainian Soviet lives were put for our freedom against Nazism, to win World War II, and to just say, yeah, we just participated. Let's put a Trident, Ukrainian Tridents everywhere instead of a Soviet symbol is just disgusting, because it was the Soviet Union at the time, and the people who put their lives or who risked everything to keep us from a Nazi-free Europe were not nationalists, and they went with the ideology of protecting everyone. So this is very bizarre, and I don't understand this whole notion of equating the Red Army with SS or any Ukrainians who deemed to kill their own kind just so that Ukraine could get freedom. And the fact of Ukraine having independence and its own freedom is a very heavy political topic. Where I don't even know where to start. Obviously, every nation has its own identity, but when it comes to Ukraine, I feel like it's really bizarre because it is a nation that has a history of very large communities of Russian speakers, very large communities of Ukrainian speakers as well, and also when it comes to religion, I also find it very confusing. And while I was searching, actually, it was really interesting because I couldn't find certain things that I studied in books which were not biased, because I'm literally talking right now about how it was. I'm gonna be talking about when Ukraine was under the rule of Lithuania and rule of Poland. So it was Ukraine was and certain territories were under Lithuanian rule, then they became under Lithuanian and Polish, then Polish, and etc. But what I'm trying to say is that mentions, for some reason, I couldn't find from, I'd say, medium sort of search, that the Greek Catholic Church was created and enforced in Ukraine during the Polish rule of the Ukrainian lands, or that side, because they wanted specifically to convert eventually the Ukrainians into Catholics. And the way to do that, they figured to do a mix of both the Orthodox Church and the Catholic. That's why they kept traditions from both. That's why the Greek Catholic Church, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, has such a mixture of both. And right now there's a big influx of people who convert to it. But its history was that it was literally Polish people being suppressive, and it's funny that right now we're seeing the same of Ukraine doing what was done to it in the history in the past, because under Lithuanian law, the lands which were under Lithuanian law were not forced to convert to Catholicism unless they wanted to, or to the Greek Orthodox as well. And the rule under Lithuania was much more lax. Under Polish, it was a bit more tense, obviously, and Ukrainians had less rights under the Polish. And the fact that I couldn't find properly the history that I learned, being a Lithuanian, of the Greek Orthodox Ukrainian Church was interesting. And it's just very weird because, again, in my generation, we'd have textbooks rewritten every year, and we'd have different sort of interpretations, I say, of history while I was in high school and middle school. It was very bizarre. So seeing that tradition follow and now show up in Russia, for instance, where there's a heavy emphasis on World War II and they don't want to teach classic Russian literature, which I've spoken about in the past, is absolutely bizarre. And I feel like in Russia they should just leave the World War II to itself, because it was already a big thing. It's very... It was not frowned upon. In this case, you're just going to make people despise it, thinking that there's a connection to the current war. And when it comes to Ukraine, it's... You shouldn't be supporting Nazis. Like, all the Bandera, Petlura, and all the other folks were just killing Russian-speaking Ukrainians, Jewish people, Russians, everyone who they deemed that was against them. And some of them are high ranks in the SS. So it's very bizarre that these Nazis are hailed as heroes. And in a way, it's sort of saying, hey, you know what? You know World War II? We actually lost, and that's a very tragic thing. When in reality, what would have happened to Ukrainians is that by Hitler, by Nazis, they were just deemed as disposable as the Russians. So I find that very confusing, and in general, I find it very despicable, disgusting, that a lot of people want to dissociate themselves from their own history just because they think of Russia when they say Russian, the Russian language or religion. And another example which I wanted to say was, when it came to religion, I also find it interesting that right now they're really pushing that Greek Catholic is very big in Ukraine, when it's not as big as it deems to be. And I remember a few days ago, probably on Friday, I was flicking through channels, and I came across Ukrainian soldiers praying while holding Orthodox crosses, and I might not be right which cross they use, but it still reminded me of the fact that they will be showing them rather than the Orthodox, for instance, soldiers. While when it comes to World War II, for instance, we have to remember that Stalin actually encouraged religion because he saw that it would boost morale for the soldiers, and even in certain battles he went and did orders to bring out very special icons so that they would bring luck in the war and so that God would bless them in fights. Despite the fact that obviously communism is very anti-religion. So that's an interesting one as well. So yeah, in general, I'm very disappointed with humanity. I find it very disgusting, the way things are treated, the way things are being rewritten, the fact that it's impossible to find reliable sources, and also for many years in Ukraine they've been pushing, obviously, the fact to push more articles so that they can be quoted online when the articles are pretty much just being pushed just to make history be rewritten online, make history be written in books. And I'm sure the same will happen in Russia as well. And then, since we all rely on whatever's written, we'll just think like, hey, did I dream this, you know? And that's fucked up. We should really remember our history and what happened, and not fight Nazis every couple of years. So yeah, I'm sorry that I haven't been filming. I'm really trying to get my schedule together because it's nearing the end of the university year, so I have a lot of stuff to do. I even had to redo my makeup. I know I look absolutely sleepy. But I wanted to say thank you very much for watching, even when on weeks that I'm not uploading. I feel very loved and I very appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to leave a like, feel free to leave a comment. Obviously feel free to subscribe, also feel free to share. Have fun discussing this with your friends. Get into some fights. Someone choose the Russian side, someone choose the Ukrainian one, pretends you're, fucking around. I'm kidding. At this point, I'm just very cynical about this war. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and feel free to subscribe for more videos. And if you enjoyed this video, you can buy me a coffee. I'll also link certain materials below. Thank you very much.